Hello, my name is James Ingram. I am of the TRICARE Devices group for E101. This discussion is mainly going to be on the engineering process I went through for this project, as well as FEDD Day. If you would like to pause on this slide or this slide, you can see the actual finished product here over on the right, and the previous slide discussed the project requirements. So first I began with designing on graph paper. Drawing up is a very important process. I would also recommend adding dimensions, but at the same time, when I first drew this up, I didn't really take into account the size between walls, certain protrusions on it. As you can see, I added dimensions later on for each specific part. Another important and key factor in the engineering and design process I'd like to add is to start printing. My first print was October 28th, as you see up here. FEDD Day was the 20th, I believe, and printing was supposed to be done the 15th of November. So I started a little bit later than I would prefer. As you can see, this is a rush print. This took 2 hours to print when usually it takes 4. I needed to redesign the class back here, and there was issues with the actual model I designed in CAD, which led to wall failure attaching to the base and the roof, and there is no clasping system. This is also kind of just a copy-paste top and bottom. The second version, I forgot to resize the bottom. There is some Dremel work there testing out how sanding will work for the final product. I redesigned the hinge system to a sort of nib and then pop on and clasp, which worked out the best. I drew up a second plan here with a lot more sizing, being more specific with my parameters. I did this entire CAD file in inches rather than centimeters or millimeters, solely because I had a ruler and I could measure in person better using inches to understand the shape of objects. Here is the final version on the right here. As you can see, it has the bar on the back, it has the toothbrush, and it has my personal retainers in the bay to show that it does fit them. There is 2 little protrusions here that stick underneath here. As you can see on the right, it holds particularly well. If I were to redesign this again, I would probably, if only, edit these. It works very well. You can indent on the front here and push it inwards to release the clasping system, as you can see me performing right here. However, it is still very tough. I feel like it has a little too much resistance, but it is a final and working product. Here is the print information. Feel free to pause and look at any of this, and here's the software I used as well. The total cost for this for a single print is $2.21. So for actual FED discussion day, I got first place for the Cisco 3D printing project. There were a total of, I believe, 14 groups under this category. I earned a score of 120. Runner-ups were 114 and 108, I believe, with then there being 72, and a large majority of the teams competing ended up getting zeros. And I believe that's because they never really checked to make sure that their projects met the requirements. Another issue with people getting such low scores not being zeros is that most projects included something to do with chargers, cases, or something to do with the phone. And personally, I believe what set me ahead is that my idea was original. As far as I'm aware, it had not been done before. The judges commented on that, and they really liked it. They also liked the fact that I was able to realize my design flaws towards the end and admit them, but I already had solutions in place to improve it from there, and they understood that this was a not necessarily perfected, but a prototype that was far along. Design-wise, like I said, I would probably just edit the clasps. Teamwork-wise, I would probably actually work as a team. I was personally a solo group. This led to me having a very stressful time. I say, if at all possible, try and work things out with your team, but if worst comes to worst, I personally would advise you to stick with the project that you think is right and do everything that you can do by yourself. Because time-wise here, this is a semester-long project, so you think you have a lot more time than you really do. Trust me, you do not. You want to attend a makerspace orientation as soon as possible and get printing as soon as possible, because as you saw from my earlier slides, that you will experience a lot of failure. I was very lucky to get out my finished product within 3 prints with little to no inventor experience beforehand. This is me. So closing advice for next year students for FED. Number 1 would be, don't close your eyes for pictures. Number 2 is teamwork will make it a lot more efficient, a lot less stressful. Actually stick to your time gauge plan. You will need to write a timeline, and I recommend sticking to your timeline rather than blowing it off. It will help a lot. Other than that, come up with something original, and don't be afraid to take risks. That's all. Thank you.